In the kitchen, and it's tasty. We ain't scared of no police, bitch. We got guns too. Don't need no tank. Homies hanging out the sunroof. World going crazy as of lately. It ain't nothing new. You know I'ma die for somebody. Tell me what to do. Ain't scared of no police, bitch. We got guns too. Don't need no tank. Homies hanging out the sunroof. World going crazy as of lately. It ain't nothing new. You know I'ma die for somebody. Tell me what to do. And you know I'm a man, so ain't no such thing as too much to handle. Ain't gon' panic like what I'm hearing on the TV channel. I don't practice my aim. I don't stack up on ammo in the crib, dressed in camo. I'ma turn into a vandal like my dad talk. Clutching on that Mac 11 with my mask off. Cause I know where it's headed on the earth. Oh, trying to tell us where we headed for I ever live in hell. I'ma take your ass to heaven. Yeah, I'ma die by my pride. With a magazine and my blood by my side. They tell you it's land of the free, but you can't go outside. For I lay it down, I'ma ride. We ain't scared of no police, bitch. We got guns too. Don't need no tank. Homies hanging out the sunroof. World going crazy as of lately. It ain't nothing new. You know I'ma die for somebody. Tell me what to do. Ain't scared of no police, bitch. We got guns too. Don't need no tank. Homies hanging out the sunroof. World going crazy as of lately. It ain't nothing new. You know I'ma die for somebody. Tell me what to do. I got the ammo with the crib stocked up. So ain't nobody that I fear. Protect myself, cause you know cops suck. Why they killing people, we got no idea. They got crooked ass agendas, I still remember. They lied to us for the 11th day of September. Tried to make the country cold, it's too hard to enter. Made the people feel divided, so we surrender. They ain't leave us with no options, we had to make it. We come together, that's a power they ain't estimating. The other outcome is devastating. We gon' die for the freedom of our generations. We ain't scared of no police, bitch. We got guns too. Don't need no tank. Homies hanging out the sunroof. World going crazy as of lately. It ain't nothing new. You know I'ma die for somebody. Tell me what to do. Ain't scared of no police, bitch. We got guns too. Don't need no tank. Homies hanging out the sunroof. World going crazy as of lately. It ain't nothing new. You know I'ma die for somebody. Tell me what to do.
All right. Hope you guys dug that. If you don't get it, then don't worry about it. It's all good. I love me some good hip hop, especially some truth hip hop, and that is Kasky. If you guys have never heard him, sometimes he speaks truth, sometimes he speaks a lot of trash, I will admit. But yeah, you know, I dig it. All right, guys. So what is up? Today is the Conscious Resistance Live episode 107. 107 artists. And that was Kasky, for those who are wondering who that was. The song's called Martial Law. Check it out. It's pretty dank. All right. And on that note, before we move on to the subject of tonight, since this is my show, you know, I mentioned a couple of months ago, some of you guys might remember this, that I'm actually trying to move away from activism. This was my feeling right before COVID started to get crazy, is that I didn't want to be so much involved with activism and journalism. Not that I wanted to quit, but I wanted to put more of my energy into hip hop, because I love music like that, and because I write raps, and I've only ever really shown it to Miriam. But my hope is that this year I can spend as much time as I do freaking researching Bill Gates and all this crazy shit, writing music, because that's my passion more than anything. I'm a musician. I make music, and I want to make hip hop now, and I want to make truth hip hop. And it's not always going to be bright and sunshiny and clean language. It's just going to be real. So I got to release that soon. Anyways, though, welcome to the Conscious Resistance Live. This is episode 107. My name is Derrick Broze. If you want to check out my work, you can go to theconsciousresistance.com, which is where you can find all of our content. And if you want to find out more about me, my background, if you're wondering how the hell you got on this screen, if wherever you're watching, then you can go to derrickbroze.com to find out a little bit more of my background story. But today, I'm not going to be covering any news. I'm actually sick of news, guys. I've been researching all day today and yesterday, and really bits and pieces over the last couple of weeks about Bill Gates, and I'm sick of it. I mean, I did finish. If you happen to see this, Ryan from Last American Vagabond, then I'll be sending you the first part. I decided to split my Bill Gates investigation into 2 parts. I know that most of you don't have time or won't make time to read a 4,000-word essay on Bill Gates. That's fine. I get it. It takes a shitload of time for me to write it. I wish you would read it, but we're all busy people. So I decided to split the investigation up into 2 parts. I think part 1's 1,500 to 1,600 words. Shouldn't take too long for you guys to really just dig in and understand it. So yeah, check that out. But also part 2. So part 1, hopefully we can get that out tonight. Part 2, probably next week. And then I have a big thing, guys. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it now, but we're going to talk more about it next week. Imagine this. Late June, early July, maybe July 4th, when everybody's out. I mean, it's in America, right? But I'm talking about globally. International Expose Bill Gates Day of Action. That's all I'm going to say for right now. Something big's coming, though. So stay tuned. We got some big plans and exciting things. Other than that, my new articles for The Last American Vagabond, I put out some new videos. I'm starting to work on a new documentary very soon that I'll tell you guys about. Other than that, let's just get to the questions, man. The whole reason that I'm doing this is because so many of you guys on Facebook, YouTube, etc., and email have asked me lots of questions about Mexico, what I'm doing in Mexico and why we're here, where we're going, when we're going to come back, is there land for other people? You know, what's our community going to look like? All these kinds of things. So the reason that this is an AMA, for those who are unaware, that means ask me anything. That means you can ask me anything about anything related to Mexico tonight. And if the internet will hold up, I'll even take you guys up on the roof in just a little bit so you can see the beautiful city that we're currently in. This is not going to be home base forever, but we are in a beautiful town surrounded by mountains and lakes not far and pyramids not far and water just coming down off the mountain that we can fill up and lots of land that we've been going at. So I'll be checking the questions, but why don't I just get things started? Hold on. I'm going to share this to my text list real quick, but why don't I go ahead and just get things started and tell you guys, for those who are just tuning in or maybe somehow it escaped you that I've been in Mexico for the last almost 2.5 months now. Yeah, since March 17th, we came out here. And I had already been in Mexico for about 3 weeks prior to that. And then I came home I went to Mexico in February, right as the whole coronavirus thing was kind of picking up, and I was covering it and reporting on it. And then we got back to Houston, and that's when shit started to get a little weird. And there was kind of some weird feelings going on, and we could feel it in the air. And Miriam and I ultimately decided, like, you know what, let's get out of here, because as I've been telling many of you recently, we all need to think about what our line in the sand is. And for me, because if you might not remember, guys, so much has happened in the last couple months, but a couple of months ago, and maybe even still continuously the whole time, in Rhode Island, they were literally doing checkpoints and checking people's license plates to see if they came from New York City or another hotspot, so that they could pull them over and then basically tell them they need to be quarantined at the threat of, imprisonment, things like that. Like that happened. So I was kind of getting disturbed. Then at one point, they started talking about stopping interstate travel. That's another one of my red lines. Like, I'm not doing that if I can't. I'm not staying in the United States or dealing with this if I can't travel. And that's the thing, is I'm not running away. The reality is that most people in the U.S., we're the vast minority. Most people are asleep, or they're okay with all this stuff. I mean, I've been arguing with people today on Facebook about wearing a mask and telling me how, just horrible I am. And they're glad that I'm in Mexico, stay in Mexico or whatever. But my point here is that most people don't really see the things that we see. And even if they do, most people don't seem willing to do anything about it. So I don't want to stay in the U.S. long term. I decided not to do my project in Texas, which was the original plan for the last few years. When I first started writing about this in 2016, the plan was in Texas. But as things have progressively gotten worse, and for those of you who have read my book, How to Opt Out of the Technocratic State, everything I wrote about just 3 months ago is now happening. Surveillance, facial recognition, biometrics, social credit score is going to be on the tail end of this. I'm sure we'll see it get up in the mix pretty soon. I mean, today, I don't want to get into the news. There's lots of news. Follow me on Telegram at Derrick Broze Daily News if you want to see what I'm reading. But my point is, so I don't have much faith in the people of the U.S. rising up, because if people were going to rise up, not that I think violence is the best answer, but if people were going to push back in mass, it could still happen. But for the most part, I think it probably already would have happened. I mean, look at everything that has happened since 9/11 and even prior to 9/11. I love the United States. I love the land. I mean, that's where my people, all of my people are. I'm not Mexican. My family has been native to Texas for generations. And then another part of my family is Seminole, another part of the United States of America. So I love that land. And I don't want to think about having to, quote unquote, abandon the U.S. But at the same time, when I see that I'm basically swimming in a sea alone, there's only so many people in Houston who actually give a shit and who see the same thing. And I'm just trying to get my friends to care more and trying to get people to care more, but we're all isolated. And so anyways, my point is that you can disagree with me if you like, but the point is that's my analysis. And so the goal has been, as I told James Corbett a couple of months ago, to come to Mexico, to find a safe space. That's what we found. We got a 3-bedroom house here. We live with another friend from Chicago who's been stuck out here for the past few months, who's also looking for land. We had another woman, shout out to Maria, who came out with her daughter from the States to visit and to look at what's going on. And we'll probably link back up with them later. And so the whole goal was that coming out here, making sure we're safe, staying alive. That's always my main goal. Staying alive, staying free, no matter what, because I'm not alive if I'm in chains. I mean, you can always fight for another day or whatever, but I'm not going to let them get me in chains. Never, ever, ever. So I decided we decided we'd come out here, start, connecting with people. We know a lot of different people in parts of Mexico. We ended up here we're in Morelia, Michoacan, which is a beautiful place. And it is about an hour and a half away from Cherán, Mexico, which some of you may have heard that 8 years ago, they kicked out the cartel, they kicked out the cops, they kicked out the corrupt politicians, and they reclaimed their community. And they went back to their indigenous form of governance. Tell me one city in the U.S. where that could happen. It can't. It won't. At least not now. The benefits of being in Mexico is that the federal government is very weak. And yes, you do have the cartels. I'm not endorsing the cartels one way or the other. But where we're at, that sort of thing doesn't affect our life. We don't get involved in the drug trade. We're not trying to interfere and get in, intervene in that, which is usually when people are most affected. And we're in an area that's doesn't have that much heavy activity, or at least on the surface. It's not, we go outside every day on bike rides. Right now, I'm looking at a beautiful street with sunshine. People are outside, walking around, going around. It's a busy street. We've been noticing it get busier and busier. And the thing is, it never locked down here in Morelia. I've never once worn a mask. We've had some places try to do the temperature scanning or the mask. We said, no, thank you. We'll go somewhere else. We just went to a big, beautiful open market down the street this morning and bought all kinds of fresh fruit and vegetables. And there's our favorite juice place, a 2-minute walk away from here. We have a open rooftop on where we go and do meditation and yoga and just enjoy the sunsets and chill and have community. And we've been seeing friends from different parts of Mexico, Americans and Mexicans, who are in different parts of Mexico. And we've basically been here for the last 2.5 months networking. We sent out 100 initial emails to people who emailed me at exitandbuild@protonmail. This is the only place I will answer questions about Mexico other than this video today. exitandbuild@protonmail.com. If you're interested, that's where you need to contact me. Don't contact me on Facebook. Don't contact me anywhere else. exitandbuild@protonmail.com. So we had about 100 initial emails. We sent those emails. Here's our vision for the Conscious Agora, as I call it. Here's some questions we have for you. We sent that out. Of those people, we got probably about 60 responses. And then we sent out a second email saying, hey, here's where we're at. We found several other spots around the country. There's people that we know in Baja, California. There's people that we know in Oaxaca. There's people down near Acapulco who have land and have projects going on. There's people in San Miguel, near that area that we know that have land that's available. And, this land is definitely relatively cheap compared to the U.S. At the same time, we did go to a beach property in a beautiful area about a week ago. And that was, there was nothing on the land. It was kind of flat and rocky, but you had a beautiful view of the beach and right on the ocean water. And that started out like $50,000, $60,000 in that range. And, we were supposed to go look at like a 300-something acre property today with a river on it. We didn't have time to do that today because I work all day. But this weekend, we're going to go look at some land at the lake nearby, Lake Pátzcuaro. And we're just, basically what we're doing, we have a local friend, Roy, who's awesome and amazing. Shout out Roy. and he's born and raised here. He's got contacts. We go with Roy. We go drive up the mountainside. We drive around roads. We talk to local people and say, hey, do you know who owns this land? Is there any land for sale? And they tell us to go that way. They tell us to talk to this person. It's a lot of, it's kind of mundane. A lot of it is just getting out here, but enjoying the beautiful land, talking to people, getting to know the locals. That's what we're trying to do. I'm not trying to build an expatriate community where we all just come here and we don't ever speak Spanish and we don't integrate or connect or work with the local community. We're trying to build a real thriving, sustainable community that is integrated and connected. We want to build a village, and I want to build a network of free communities. So I might not end up in Morelia, although I will say there's a lot of benefits to this place. I've come to find out. Before I came here, I didn't know much about it. The temperature high is 82, the low is 44 all time. It's kind of dry, more dry than I'm used to in Houston, but that's cool because I'm tired of sweating all the time because of the humidity. There's, like I said, mountains and lakes nearby. It is at a certain elevation. I mean, it's just a beautiful place. And like I said, during this whole crisis, nothing is shut down. All the people have been, some businesses have closed, but the city hasn't shut down. The funny thing is there's this hashtag going around to stay in your home, but every day people are out all over the place. The police drive around and they make announcements. Please stay in your home, wash your hands, wear masks. Some people do it, but it's not stopping life because they don't have the power to enforce it. Again, that doesn't mean that I think the cops here are better, or the government's better or something like that, or yay, it's better to live under the cartel than the US government. No, this is not a perfect final solution or anything of that sort. It's about trying to understand, the kind of cost-benefit analysis of relative freedom in one place versus freedom in the others. And there are many benefits of the U.S. that I appreciate. Some would say, well, I'm not going to Mexico or name another country because they can't own guns. Well, I would say stop thinking about what's legal and do what you need to do to protect yourself. That's just me. I don't pay attention to the law when I do what I have to do. I don't pay attention. If I have to walk across the street because it's more convenient this way rather than going to the crosswalk that way, I don't feel guilty because I violated the law. And if I have to carry a weapon, let's say, for example, back in the US, I'm a felon, so I'm not even legally allowed to own a gun. So in the situation where I'm left defenseless because of a judgment for something that happened to me 15 years ago, I'm basically left defenseless, or with my hands, my fists, and knives and blades and whatever else I can pick up. But I've been arrested for those too. So my point is that you can either listen to what the law says and what they think is right, or you can do what you know is right. And you have the right to defend yourself no matter what. Now, that doesn't mean you should go around the streets of any country waving guns everywhere, but I'm just saying, and I won't say more on these channels, but do what you need to do to protect yourself. And Mexico is also, the bribes are common in Mexico in many different ways. I'm going to talk about one other thing, and then I'm going to shut up and go through some of these comments because I see so many comments, and I appreciate all that. Guys, give me some thumbs up wherever you're at. Get some thumbs up, and let's let everybody know that they, if you got questions, put them in there. I'll start going through there, wherever you're listening from, whether you're on Facebook, Float, or the YouTube. So another thing, there have been some checkpoints. As we've been traveling outside of Morelia, we've been going in and out of Morelia to different places. There's been a couple times where on the highways there was checkpoints, and these checkpoints are, the cops in their full gear. They got their automatic guns, and they got little flags in their hand, and one of them's here on this side of the street, and then there's a car over there, and we pull up to them. We slow down, we roll down the window, we comply, we let them scan our faces, we let them put a thermometer up our ass, we tell them that we'll bend down and kiss their toes and do whatever we have to do. Just please let us go, officer. No, I'm totally kidding. We drive right through those motherfuckers. We don't stop at the checkpoints. And we've done it several times now, and this is on advice from Mexicans. This is not like we're coming in here, oh, we're Americans, we can do what we want. This is what our Mexican friends told us to do, not to stop. And I'm not talking about the border crossing. I'm talking about once you're in the country and you're driving around, there's certain checkpoints, and nobody's ever chased us. Again, they don't have the resources, the time, or the energy to go start going on a high-speed chase because somebody drove through their little checkpoint. Now, again, there have been some grocery stores where they tried to do the thermometer scan. We're like, no. We also ran into an interesting situation where we were going to visit a piece of land, and it was on this community, in this private community, which was pretty cool because they were protecting and guarding their own community. And the rules that they wanted as an autonomous community was, if you're going to come into our community, you got to wear a mask, and we want to scan your face. Well, we were not happy with this. And ultimately, though, I will say I let these fucking people scan the side of my head, and I really felt like I kind of wimped out there when the moment came. But our roommate did not comply. And ultimately, they still let us go check out the land without, with an escort with us. And even though I kind of, I resent that a little bit, I appreciate that that's a private community taking care of this how they feel they need to. I might disagree with them, but that's their right as a community to do so. I was coming into their community to look at land. So, and let me see what else. So we've been here for like 9 weeks. We've been emailing with people. We shared our vision. I'm not going to spend the whole show going over the vision of everything. I know some of you who are listening have been a part of the email chain, right of the email chain. But I don't really want to get into it because honestly, it's kind of private. If you care enough about what I'm doing out here and you want to learn more, then you will email exitandbuild@protonmail.com. Then I will send you the email, our initial email with our vision. And if you like our vision or you think it's something you can work with, or even if you just want to know more, then answer the questions we put forth. And if we feel like it's a good match, we'll respond with a second email. And if we feel like that, either way, after that, we'll tell you all the different people that we know that are out here. I will say I'm going back to Houston March 31st and June 1st. It's going to be a 2-day drive that we'll be driving back to Houston. And then we're going to be there for the month of June. So Miriam can work and make some money. And so we can take care of some business. I got to go to the dentist and do some other shit. And then we are going to come back here and continue. It's not like, okay, that was a nice vacation. It might be that for some people we know. But this is a commitment that we made way before COVID ever happened. We were already talking about taking a permaculture design certificate course this summer, and then coming to Mexico to get land, even working with some friends in Costa Rica. So the virus has only made us speed things up. And so we're going to go back, see some friends, see some family, and we'll be there for a month unless things start to get worse. If they start talking about a second wave and they start locking things down, then I'm headed back to the border and I'm going back to the United States. Back to Mexico, because what we need to build, what I believe the solution is, guys, and I'll just kind of do my little rant here and we'll talk specifically about the land. What I believe we need to do is establish a network of free communities, right? So that's going to be a community in Houston. That's going to be a community in Ohio, a community in Colorado, in Morelia, in Mexico City, and Oaxaca, in Acapulco, and parts of Chile, Germany, Australia, all these people who've been hitting us up from all over the world. Thank you guys for paying attention to what's going on in the world and for giving a shit and for trying to think of the future of your friends and family. I believe that as we push forward to contact tracing, as we push forward to mandatory vaccinations, as we push forward to immunity passports, now the airlines are saying that they need to, we're going to have immunity passports going forward. They're already talking about temperature scanning in order to fly. These are things that I'm not willing to accept. So either we stay alone in the US and we just basically submit separately, or we die separately because we can't get organized enough, apparently, or we start building this network of free communities. What I'm trying to do is establish something out here in Mexico so that if the shit hits the fan, like it seems like it's going to in the fall, and maybe after that, and probably for the next decade, that there will be people who want to get out. And some of you are going to hear me say this and you're going to think that it's interesting and maybe appealing to you, but you might say you don't have the financial resources, the time, or the energy. Maybe this guy's crazy. By next year, I guarantee you won't think I'm crazy. Give me a year or less than that, and I guarantee you won't think I'm crazy. And if you do not act now, unfortunately, I believe you will regret it. And I'm not saying that means you need to come with me to Mexico and do this, because honestly, this is all new to me. I'm just doing this, it's on the fly. I've never done this before, but we're learning because this is my life and this is the future. And I think that if we do nothing instead out of fear and we just stay still, then, we're going to die. We're not going to make it through this, unfortunately. So building a network of free communities. I got to plug my computer in. Building a network of free communities, establishing these communities all over the U.S., all over Mexico, all over the world, everywhere we can. And so that whenever they say you have to have an immunity passport to travel or to work or to do anything, hold on, I'm going to have to move this shit. Whenever they tell you that, excuse the mess, guys, then you can say, screw you, I'm going to go live with my community of people who aren't complying with that because I actually thought ahead and I'm not waiting to the last minute for these solutions. And so me and my friends and family are going to be better off because we were forward-thinking people who took this seriously and we saw what was coming. Isn't that cool bunk bed in the background? We saw what was coming and we took action. So don't do it for me. Don't do it for anybody but your friends and family if you want them to stay healthy and happy. And I'm not trying to be a doomsayer. You guys have followed me for a long time, know that I don't like to use hyperbole and just, it's all about to go down. But man, I've been feeling that way more and more often lately because the writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall that they have some plans that they are trying to initiate. and that most of us probably aren't in them. A healthy humanity is not in these plans. And we're going to conclude this rant now, and we're going to get to questions. So this is an AMA, and I've talked enough already. So I'm now going to go back through, scroll back up these comments. And again, I'm looking at comments on Facebook, on YouTube, etc. So if you haven't posed your comment or your question, if you have a specific question about Mexico or what we're doing here, please post it again. And if you don't mind posting it again. How is the crisis in the area you are in, Derrick and Miriam? We'll start there. Well, as I said, we're in Morelia. I kind of answered this already. I don't know if you heard it. Also, I'll answer it again. And things haven't been locked down. I mean, we went to our favorite market this morning. We've been going on morning bike rides. We've been going out. If this battery holds up long enough, I'm going to take you guys upstairs and show you the house a little bit so you guys can kind of see. It's been really awesome. And that's the crazy thing is I'm not trying to sit here and act all, I don't know, act on anything, privileged or whatever the fuck some people want to say. We just made a choice to get out of the U.S. and to come down here, and things have been a lot better. I've been able to live my life without being so crazy, you know. And then we got Karen. My question: are you going to have room for mom? This is one of my second moms. I've been blessed with a number of moms. Well, shout out to my first mom, but I've got a number of moms out there that I've met over the years who are like Karen, who are very supportive. And this Karen is cool. She's not the kind of Karen that calls the cops on you because she won't mind her own business. Yes, Karen, there will be room for you. Are you concerned about a possible U.S. coup against Mexico? I understand there have been large lithium deposits found in Mexico, and the U.S. has been saber rattling. I am concerned about that. Actually, since we came out here, I don't know if you guys saw this. I might have done a report on it, that the Trump administration announced that they were initiating some new operation to come after the cartels and to go after Venezuela, and that they were going to send the Navy boats down here, basically. So I am concerned. And also, for those who've been around a long time, you know the phrase North American Union, the New World Order, all that kind of stuff. People have been worried for years that, you know, what they're trying to build, just like a European Union, a African Union, that that eventually, you know, the quote unquote New World Order, the powers that wish they were, will try to establish domain over Mexico, places like Mexico, because Mexico is considered a third world country, even though I don't think that really makes sense over here. There's a lot of just Americanized, westernized places like Mexico City, which is completely unsustainable. But there also are small villages and places where people are living very humbly. I mean, I love it. I enjoy the countryside out here and I enjoy everything about it. But yes, I am concerned that eventually they will come down here, which is why going to Mexico isn't just like, oh, this is the perfect solution. It's going to solve everything. No, it's a moment. It's a moment in time for us to slow down, for us to get organized, and for us to start establishing some safety. Now, I think that eventually, though, this is the reality. Like, let's say we build a community out here in Mexico, we start establishing these network of communities, and then all of a sudden the United Nations comes in here, or China or the US, and they give billions of dollars to Mexico, and they start pushing them to do contact tracing and mandatory vaccinations. Well, then we're just going to have to fucking fight, okay? I mean, if it's going to be everywhere, then you just prepare for it. I mean, that's the thing, guys. I'm trying to stave off violent resistance for as long as possible, and to build as much as possible so that we can have something to build and fight for, and rather than just working and living like zombies and slaves every day and living in these people's reality, because we deserve better than that, you know. So we're trying to stave off the a violent revolution or violent insurrection resistance to these people at some point. But if it comes down to them trying to stick needles in our arms or force medicate us or track us everywhere we go, then we will have to fight. I mean, you might not like that. How are the chemtrails in Mexico compared to the U.S.? I don't really like the term chemtrails, but there definitely are not lines in the sky, what I would consider geoengineering, which is going on in the U.S. and elsewhere. Not in Morelia. There was one day where we like, is that a contrail, like a regular contrail, or is that something else? Because you know the difference. They stay for a long time, and they kind of drag out and turn out. So the thing is, it doesn't happen out here. I mean, I'm speaking for Morelia and other places like San Miguel, which is about 2.5 hours away. We have friends there. They say they see it pretty often. So it is out here. I Sundance with many people from Mexico. I'll be Sundancing next month too. That's another reason we're coming back to the US, is because it's time for Sundance. All right. I'm making my way down these comments. How do the people in your area you are living in feel about your plans? Do you mean Tesaros? Do you mean like the locals feel about my plan, like my friends that are out here? I don't know. I mean, like I said, we've gone out and looked for land, and we've talked to a few locals, and most of them have been very welcoming. I mean, I know some people have questions like, can you even buy land as a non-citizen? I have heard, yes, you can. In fact, we talked with somebody who does own his land, and he got the deed to the land. And, there's different types of land in Mexico. Some of the land is given to like the indigenous folks and to, the lower income people, and that's kind of their own thing. And then there's also just land that has been in families and passed down. And then, of course, there are probably people who scam and just find pieces of land and claim they own it, and they sell it to somebody, and then later they find out that the person didn't actually own it. So we're being careful of all those kinds of things. We're not just being idiots. I mean, I hope you guys know by now that we're not just running into everything like idiots. We're definitely trying to do everything we can. Holy guacamole. Oh my God, Rica, they have the best guacamole right down the street at this market we go to every Friday, and it's the shit. And the lady, her name is Señorita Guacamole, and we got her number. This is what I'm talking about, building relationships. We told her, if they ever make you shut down, let us get your number so we can call you and buy your guacamole from you directly, because it's that good. Exit and build at Proton Mail. Thank you. All right. Price per acre. Now, of course, this is going to depend where you're at. I will say one place that we've gotten clear prices in Dolores Hidalgo, which is just outside of San Miguel, which is a couple hours away from us. And there are hectares, which is like 2.5 acres, for like $1,200 and $1,500. And those are already kind of in plots that you can buy. I mean, they're ready to go. We have a friend there who's already digging and building over there. Yeah, that's a little bit. Callie, come on down. Let us know. Karen, if you didn't get a response, we'll get back to you. Let me see what we got here. I love what you're doing and appreciate the long hours you must keep. Well, you can't even see me anymore. Keeping us informed. We just bought our house here in Florida. So now I'm starting to read it, kind of creepy. I didn't mean to. So won't be leaving. I share everything you speak on with people who will listen, which is difficult, as you all know. I'm happy you're doing well in Mexico, and hope people will join your dream of building self-sustaining communities and flourish. We will stay here and we'll fight a good fight, share all we can, and hopefully you wake people up. Exactly. What you're doing is what I call in my book, holding down the fort. And community is missing in America. That's the thing, is the Mexican people, and anybody who's Mexican or been in the culture or has been in Mexico understands that there's still a big semblance of community and family here that is really missing in the U.S. All right. I love the stream. I share the same, but what did she say? But it's so foreign to me, and I appreciate this so much. But you can come out here. It can be foreign to you. It's okay. You don't have to learn learn Spanish right away, but you can figure it out. ¿Dónde está playa, por favor? The playa is about like 3 hours south of us. You can go to Zihuatanejo. That's one of the areas. Is me and Miriam's favorite town, Ziwa, and we were there looking up some land, and just a couple of days ago. That's where I was saying there's some beachfront property, a little more expensive than what we're looking for at the moment. But I definitely will say we are looking for investors, of people who want to. But honestly, more than investors, like, I don't have a lot of money. We have other people who have more money. What I'm bringing to the table is basically networking. I'm the kind of nexus point, bringing all these people together. I'm going to put my body, my soul into the dirt. I'm going to take a permaculture course and bring all that knowledge to whatever community I'm a part of. And I'm going to use my network to broadcast this and to get us resources and grow this shit. Do you think a freedom community is possible in the U.S. at this point, or is it a lost cause? I don't want to say lost cause, because as long as we're alive, my grandma used to say, wherever there's life, there's hope. So if we're alive and we're breathing, then there's still hope, right? So let's stay hopeful. But I do think it's becoming more difficult. That's why I'm not doing what I'm doing in the U.S. But I also don't want to discourage people if they don't feel like they can leave the U.S. to start, get organized in your areas. I mean, build in your. We know people who are trying to build in Texas. We know people who are trying to build in Colorado, California, Oregon. People who are trying to get land in the U.S. as well. So it's definitely possible while we're alive. As long as we're alive, we can do it. That's all I'll say. All right. Okay, let me see. We drive through the checkpoints. Yes, we do. Don't ever stop for checkpoints. All right. Let me see. Wearing a mask makes the people around you feel at ease because you're an asymptomatic carrier. You have a lower probability of transmitting. I get that. I'm not going to sit here and argue the whole mask thing. But also, if you're out and you're exposing yourself to more bacteria and to, the air and everything, and breathing in other people's air, if you did get it and you were asymptomatic, most of us probably already had it way before. That's the thing about the numbers. The numbers are all skewed because many of us have had it without realizing it. Thus, it's a lot less deadly than they were telling us. What is your advice on the process of internationally relocating when it comes to visas? This is something that I don't have a lot of experience in, and that I will eventually probably have to figure out or understand. Because what I will say is this, is that I'm not really so concerned with being legal. And I had a Mexican citizen yell at me about this online. I'm not so, we're talking about staying alive here, guys. We're talking about the building of a technocratic state where people are literally trying to track and monitor every aspect of our lives and control everything we do. So excuse me if I stop thinking so much about, is this legal? Did I get the right permit? Visas, etc. I'm not saying you shouldn't, Katie, you shouldn't consider these things at all. I'm just saying that's where my mind's been at. My mind's been like, okay, cool. I can legally stay here for 6 months. But if after 6 months, the U.S. is looking like shit and it's not safe, I'm not going back. You crazy? I'm not going to deal with that. So we got to start thinking, I believe, in new terms. Think in new terms. Bus travel is extremely safe in Mexico. Miriam and I have traveled through buses all over Mexico for the last 4 years, and it's been pretty awesome. We've been able to see lots of the countryside. That's actually one of the things that really pulled us to come out here, besides the fact that she has family out here, is that we've seen all this beautiful country. And every time we're driving around the buses, it's like, wow, look at all this land. There's so much available. How can we make money in Mexico? Well, this is going to be, the thing is, I will say this just to kind of preview, we're not trying to build a commune collective where we all share money and we all are in each other's lives. Like, I'm very much an individualist, but I do believe in the power of community. So we're not talking about sharing incomes. We're not talking about, people can make their own arrangements, but as a general, we're not talking about that. And so I make money online. I'm a writer. You guys know I get paid to write articles. I have Patreon. I get paid to do talks sometimes and things like that. I hustle one way or the other because that's what I want to do. Everybody is going to have different situations. Your job might not transfer to Mexico. Maybe you come out here in Mexico and you discover some new, passion or something. And that's the other thing, is there's so many entrepreneurs in Mexico. If you're an entrepreneur and you have something to hustle to sell, that's what's going on out here. That's what's happening. People are just walking. Just this today at the market, I saw these 2 young kids going up a hill. They were pushing this cart that was filled with ice cream, and they're just pushing it up the hill to get to the market to go sell it to people. Just walking around asking people, "Would you like some ice cream for this many pesos?" So people are a lot more hustlers out here than I think in the U.S. And that's kind of the mentality. There's a lot of entrepreneurship. So yeah. Puerto Vallarta looks so pretty. I'm just worried about driving through Mexico, especially with family. I understand the concerns, but if for those who want to come out here, if you're trying to get somewhere safe, we're not in Puerto Vallarta. We do know some people out there, and it apparently is really beautiful. But if you need to get across the border and you need a safe space, that's what the Underground Railroad is about. I want to help you guys find a house that you can get set up in while you get your bearings and you figure out where you're going next. And then maybe we know another person on the way, as you're driving there, and then you can link up with them. That's the whole goal of what we're trying to do. So yeah, they are talking about a second wave already. People think because they're opening up slowly, it's over. I'm not falling for it. I would yes, definitely be careful. I'm more afraid of staying. Yeah, definitely. I don't know if staying's the right answer. I agree. Get as independent as possible. Yep. All right. Let me see. Any other questions? I'm scrolling down. I think I'm almost near the bottom. And if there's no other questions, I'm going to end this. But if you guys have anything else to say, please do throw it in there. The first people to a new community always have to plant a bunch of fruit trees. Hey, the hell yeah. That's what I'm looking forward to. Duke one is getting there and planting lots of fruit trees. We want to build a food forest immediately. We want to build something that's going to last for a long time. How much is land? This question's kind of been offered. I asked, it's going to differ from place to place. Like I said, you can go somewhere near the beach and you're going to pay 60,000 US for some beach property. And you can probably find some that's going to be more than that. You go somewhere, we found some land that's arable. You can grow on it. It's a little dry, but you can definitely grow on it. There's water underneath the soil. It's near a small town. And that was like $1,500 a hectare, which is 2.5 acres. So it's going to vary is my point. Okay. What do you do for a living? I just covered that. There's plenty of things you can do online remotely. Exactly, Callie. This is the thing. We got to be creative. We have to be very creative in going forward. And I also think that we need to stop thinking in terms of normal. We don't want to think in terms of their new normal, but also we don't want to just think in terms of how life was before. We have to think about how we can move forward. All right, I'm catching up on the comments. I'm very private, so I like that. Strong individuals make strong groups. I agree. This is something I've seen some people say, that if you buy land, the government can take it away from you. I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of horror stories of things like that. I haven't heard anything from Mexican friends, but I'm not going to sit here and act like the cartel or the government isn't a thief and hasn't come along and done that in the past at some point or another. I don't know, but I haven't heard anything of that sort since we've been here for the last 2.5 months. So yeah. But I will say, you know, we're going to make sure that we are very careful when we're buying land and everything we're doing. We're going to make sure that we can get as strong a claim to the land as possible, the deed of the land and all that good stuff. And also keep it as least statist as possible. So if we don't have to deal with the federal government or the local government, then cool, we can do our own thing. We can just make a network and collaborate with the local landowners, and we can, you know, build what we got to build. Okay, you guys are awesome. I'm having such a hard time tearing away from my life, and I'm in New York City. I feel like I'm looking at the end of a gun barrel. Got to shake out of my petrified state and take the plunge. Do it, Laura. Whether you come here with us or not, take the plunge. Shake yourself up. Go step up right now. Shake it up. Shake it out. Shake it out. Shake it out. Loosen yourself up. Wake up. Wake up. You're here. We're here with you. We stand with you. If you're in New York and you feel alone, we are here. Am I going to become a citizen? Like I said, I'm not really trying to deal with all that shit, man. I'm hoping that the world will somehow change and I don't have to deal with a world where there's states that claim that they own me and that they can have my tax dollars or they can tell me where I can live. You know, it's a long shot, but, you know, I'm trying not to do things legally as much as possible. And some of you might not like that. You guys can do things your own way. It's just for me, I don't play that game too much. Is it hard to cross the border with food, animals, and plants? It depends on what they are. We came across the border with Grape, who is our rat, and we have plants that we're trying to take back and seeds. We're going to kind of hide them a little bit, be careful. But I do think that some of those kind of things, you know, could be problematic, depending on, like, they seem to be more careful about food and plants, like seeds. But I mean, honestly, we stocked up on food. We drove across the border and we just had everything in boxes and like in the back of Miriam's Jeep. And, you know, we did our thing. So nobody really bothered us. Nobody, like, they didn't dig through everything in the car. They just kind of peeked around and, all right, go ahead. You know, it wasn't a huge bother, everything we were dealing with, basically. What's up, Derrick? How many people do you think your community can support? I'm like still 15 minutes back on these questions, guys. I'm probably gonna have to stop answering them soon. How many people do you think your community can support? Well, this is the thing, bringer of Rain 6. It is not my community. Yes, it's a vision I'm putting together, but I don't want it to be my community. I want it to be a community that we build together, a collective group. So I honestly don't know. I envision something like 20 acres. We want 20 acres so we can have a food forest, so that we can have a community center where we can host meetings and documentary screenings and farmers markets and all that kind of stuff. And then also where there's still enough space for each to us to have our own homes and our own privacy. And then perhaps as things progress, we can also open it up for retreat centers. That's another way we can make income, guys. I mean, I didn't mention that. For those of you who would really want to be a part of the project, you can come be a part and maybe get involved in the organizing, because the space will basically be there. We could use it for music festivals. We could use it. I've seen communities that once they get established, they've got food growing, and even people who aren't fully established, you can get woofers, worldwide opportunities on organic farms, and you can get people who want to volunteer to come help out. And you can also, again, people will pay to rent your space. So there's a lot of different ways around this. So my point with that long-winded answer is that I don't know how many people it will support. I don't know what the ideal number is. Maybe the ideal number is a freedom cell. Maybe we just need enough land for 7 to 8 people and, you know, couples and families, whatever, because we got a lot of families who've reached out to us too. For those of you who are families and who are thinking like, oh, this is just a bunch of young single people. No, there's a lot of families. We've been hit up by Mexicans, by Australians, by French folks, by Germans, by Americans, young, old, couples, individuals, animals, and eventually I would like to have a piece of land to establish an animal sanctuary, because I would like to, you know, take care of the animals. I love animals. And my particular community, I know some of you guys are going to sign off after this and say, never mind, the particular community that we are building, the one that I will live in, not to say that I won't work with any other communities, is going to be a community that does not slaughter animals. If people choose to eat animals in their own home, then, you know, that's kind of your deal. But this land and the things that I'm going to be building on, there won't be the slaughtering of animals or the abuse of animals on property. Now, if somebody, we can have deeper questions with people who are involved. That my point is that's kind of like the first step we can talk about, right? And then from there, we can talk about, well, free range chickens or whatever, have the conversations. But my point is, for me, that's kind of the first line, right? So I know some of you are like, never mind, I don't want to work with you, but we can still do a lot of abundance. We can work with animals instead of eating them or abusing them. We can work with them to work with the soil. That's what permaculture is all about, is building these regenerative circular systems that feed into each other. It's a feedback loop. What do you do for a living? I'm a hustler. Jamaican lady told me that. I'm a hustler too, man. Hustling every day of my life, one way or the other. Used to hustle drugs. Now I hustle articles, hustle knowledge, hustle information. I would love to take care of goats. Fuck yeah. I want some goats too. I want goats. All right. Eggs and dairy. I mean, like I said, those conversations can happen. I think that people should really be able to have that discussion. I did some videos years ago. If you guys can go find it on the YouTube channel. And there's a video I did called "Is Taking Eggs from Chickens Theft?" And basically, I spent some time with my animals on my grandma's farm. I'll go into this tangent for a moment, and then I'm going to wrap up. I was working and living on my grandma's farm for a little while. And basically, I got to know the chickens. I got to know the cows. I got to know all of them. And my grandma has a very free range farm. I mean, these chickens just go wherever the hell they want, and they don't eat them. They just lay eggs, right? So there's a chicken coop. And what I learned is that these chickens at night, whether you go there and take them by force or not, they choose to go into the coop, and they go in there. And you know why they go in there? They know because it's safer for them. They know that there are animals that come out at night. And so when it gets dark, they go into there, and that's where they stay and they sleep. And that's where they end up laying their eggs, right? So my grandma doesn't use force, abuse them, etc., to force them into the coop and then rip the eggs out of their hands, or that of underneath them, things like that. I think it's kind of a fair process. I don't think that there's any exploitation going on. Also, I think that if you feed chickens and you put them in the yard where you're building the garden, obviously they can fertilize the soil. And so there's, again, working together, not eating. I'm not a nugget. I'm not a piece of bacon. I'm an animal. I have a life. I have feelings, and we can collaborate together and we can build together. All right, I don't want to get off on my rant. I try to keep my vegan opinions to myself, but that is a fact of the matter. And as somebody who values all life, this is just the way that I'm trying to do things. So anyways, guys, any other questions about Mexico? I think I've explained. We've been out here for 9 weeks. We've been in Morelia. This is the first time I'm telling everybody publicly where we're at. So hopefully they don't send an assassin here to assassinate me or to release my dick pics. Is there a cell in the UK? Yes. Go to freedomcells.org and go check it out. Check it out. There's people in the UK, all over the UK. We've got a lot of people in the UK, actually. So check it out. We want to have makerspace, a clinic where people can learn about herbalism, space for the retreats, hosts for visitors, etc., etc. We need people who make soap like Amaret. And that's the other thing, is so many people have also reached out to us with so many skills. We've got people who are lifelong electricians, carpenters, people who are good with woodworking, people who know how to make herbs, herbal medicines, people who have experience with permaculture. I mean, there is so much potential that even if we don't, there's too many people, so I can't live with 100 people on a piece of land. But my point is, if we don't end up living together and working on the land together, I can connect you with other people who are also thinking of the same mind. That's the role that I'm stepping in. It's a little overwhelming. I got it. The exitandbuild@protonmail.com email is entirely filled with people who have questions like you guys. And Miriam and I have been like every week and a half, we're like, okay, the emails have built up. Let's go in there. And we need to do it this weekend and respond to a lot of you guys. And yeah, so I'm choosing to be the nexus point. If you're interested, wherever you're at, connect with me. I'm making myself available, so please take advantage and we can work together. I know people have asked about passports. How can I come if I don't have a passport or can't even get one? So I think the passport things, they have kind of closed down for the most part. Last I heard that the US passport thing, they weren't accepting new applications. You can wait and see if that changes. But if the shit really starts to hit the fan, guys, again, stop thinking about what's legal and just find a way to get across the border. My goal with this whole Underground Railroad is that I can help you guys get across the border one way or the other. And that's about all we should say on these channels about that. But at the same time, bribes go far in Mexico. That's all I'm going to say. Now, if you came across without a passport, you would probably have to bribe somebody every single time you saw a cop and they asked for your ID, and then they realized you were an American citizen and you didn't have the proper paperwork. You would probably have to bribe them. Now, the bribes aren't usually a whole lot of money, but after a while, that could add up. That is not legal advice. Everybody is responsible for their own actions. Do not say I told you to do it. Yeah, Raja said, you folks do realize you're supposed to start your own freedom cells, right? I've noticed that more recently. People are like, is there a freedom cell in my area? Or, hey, I want to know what to do with freedom cells. It's like, create it, build it, make it what you want it to be, and it will become something. All right, so let's keep learning together. Herbalism, yes, Rika, we want you to come down to Mexico, into our community, and to teach us all kinds of things and teach us crocheting, all kinds of cool stuff. Rika, the Hopeful Voluntarist, for those who are here, she's a long-term listener and very awesome, and I appreciate her. Check out her channel as well. She crocheted a sweater for our rat. Callie, you would love it. And Rika, I do have one picture. I know I haven't sent it to you. We put it on him. It was a little too tight, and he definitely didn't like it. he didn't like it being on him, but it was pretty damn cute. So we'll send you a picture of that. Anyways, all of us have so many skills. Let's come together. Let's work on our skills together. Will you please give contact info one more time? And I will put this, put this in the chat. And then we're going to go upstairs. I'm going to show you guys. Oh, wait, shit. All right. Exit and somebody type it in. I can't type in. Exit and build at protonmail.com. Exit and build at protonmail.com. Miriam, will you type that in? Because my computer's being weird. Any freedom cells in the Los Angeles County, Alan, you got to go to the website, freedomcells.org. You got to join, and you got to look at the map. I mean, we can't just tell you. People are like, hey, do you know if there's any in UK or Canada? Oh, I don't know. We just built a website so you could find other people. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying it's there for you. All right, guys. Exit and build at Proton Mail. This is how you get in touch. Exit and build, all one word. Take out the spaces, with the @ symbol, protonmail.com. Exit and build at protonmail.com. If anybody else wants to get in touch with me for stuff that has nothing to do with Mexico, then you can hit me up at intothelight@protonmail.com. That's a totally separate email. That is just for personal questions, things, whatever. It's not related to Mexico. But Mexico emails, go to exit and build. All right, guys, we're going to go check out the roof now. Oh, shit, it's hot in here. All right, let me see if I can do this without knocking everything down. All right, ready, guys? Let's do this. We're going to go see if I can take you guys upstairs to see the roof without breaking anything. And I appreciate all the questions that you guys had. There's Miriam back there. All right. Thank you guys for the questions and for the support over the past couple months. It's been crazy. If you guys remember when I first came to Mexico, I was a little bit manic because the world's getting crazy. All right. Okay. Let me see if I can set this up.
Why don't you just hold the camera?
No, I'm trying to. There we go. Okay. All right. Looks like the internet's still working up here, guys. It's a little bright. I'm going to try to show you each side. So this is our roof. You can see the mountains back there in the background. Here's where we're at. I do not want to drop my computer. Busy streets out here. People are out. I hope the connection's still good. Is it still working? So you can kind of see back there the hills and mountains. It's going?
Yes.
Cool. So this is our roof area. And then there's more. It's hard to see because of the sun, but there's more mountains out there. You probably can't see them. It's so bright. But here, I'll show you a little bit of the street. In city, 1,000 people here. It doesn't get hot. It doesn't snow. I mean, it gets hot, but it doesn't get like blistering hot like Houston or Arizona or Vegas or something. And it doesn't snow. And there's mountains all around us, and there's water in the hills where the people go literally fill up their water from the mountains. And yeah, that's what Morelia is like. I'll probably do some more videos now that I'm coming out of the closet and telling you guys where we're at. I'll probably start doing some more walk and talk videos and showing you the streets of Morelia. And you guys can kind of see the city there. Okay, let me show you one thing. This is what I'm talking about right here. Okay, look, guys. Let me figure out how to do this shit. Can you see that red tent down there with the white, red and white to the left there? Where's that? Right there. Right there. That's a little taco stand. And people have stands like that under their houses or at the bottom of their houses all over. And people have been out here selling food, selling fruit, selling goods. They've never stopped. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm coming back. Because I believe the spirit of rebellion is still alive. And the Mexican people, the spirit of community is still alive. And that with the right combination of people and ideas and resources, we can build something amazing. And that's why I'm here. So I'm going to sit here with Miriam and enjoy the sunset here in Morelia, Michoacan.
Can't keep up with the comments.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments. All right. I can't even see them. It's too bright. But all right, guys, if there's any more comments, just email me exit@build@protonmail or comment on this video on Facebook or YouTube after it's done, and I'll come back through and answer them. This has been the Conscious Resistance Live, episode 107. No news today, just talking about solutions in this Mexico project, the Conscious Agora. And I have an investigation on Bill Gates coming out this weekend, coming out next week. Lots of exciting things. And to anybody in Houston who wants to connect, or anybody in Texas, I will be home during the month of June. This might be your last chance for a while to connect in person and to build together. So please hit me up. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off now.
Have a beautiful night. Oh, have a great night.
All right, guys. Till next time, remember, you are powerful.
You're beautiful and you're free.
You're free.